This podcast is part of the Treksphere Network.
To find more Star Trek-related content, visit Treksphere.com.
As you know, this is much of an episode where we talk about Picard. I'm Paul.
I'm Jonathan, and this... Okay.
No, go ahead. You go ahead. You go.
We're covering Mercy because that's the latest episode of Picard, and that's what we're doing. We're doing topical, relevant... Oh, yeah. Star Trek edition, Picard edition, Season 2 edition, Episode 8 addition, Mercy.
That's right. And this kind of... It's kind of a thing now. This episode is the perfect example of... It feels like they assigned each episode a writer, and they said, we're not going to tell you anything about what's going to happen or what has previously happened, but this is what happens in the episode. So go write it. Because nothing seems to carry forward. Other than, yes, Agnes is now 2 of 1 with the Borg Queen. Other than that...
But also, they tell us in this episode, again, this is like, you did not need to watch the previous 7 episodes to know what's happening in this episode, despite what you just said, despite the continuity, because they tell us.
Yeah. And aside from the 90-minute previously on, you don't need to watch that because they give it, it's like this weird, nice little in-between where this is a totally serialized show. It's not episodic at all. But yet you can watch every single one and not really have to know what's going on in the rest of the show.
Right. And it's not because they don't build, like, the story isn't continuing forward. It is, but they just, like I said, and you said, they tell us everything. You can jump in on each episode, and the characters, through dialogue, will fill you in, even though this show is designed to be binged. So irritating.
Well, so I want to ignore Raffi and Seven because everything that happens with them is the same thing that happens in every other episode. Mm-hmm. They're doing this weird buddy cop thing where they're in a relationship, and it's so stale at this point that everything that they say is implied already. Everything. Yeah. We don't need anything that they talk about. And they're just making Raffi out to be a worse and worse person as time goes forward. Right. That whole scene with Raffi where she manipulates, what's his name? Elnor, to staying at Starfleet. He wants to go home and go be a ninja back on whatever planet that is. And she manipulates him to not doing it. And it just made her look terrible, even though she was admitting it.
Right.
She said, yeah, I manipulate people.
Yeah.
And she wasn't doing it in a way where she was apologizing for it.
No.
She was just saying it, yeah, you're right. Good call.
I feel like there was going to be more, and they got interrupted by Aggie, but the writers didn't give her a chance. And now we've got 2 episodes to redeem her out of 8. Like, it's going to take some heavy lifting on her part to do anything to justify her behavior from the last, for 80% of the show, at least.
It's at the point where it's not like I understand because of her grief. They're now giving her reasons to be an asshole before Elnor dies.
Right. Yeah. Well, and speaking to a little bit before that, that's what I was going to say was I liked how blunt Seven was with her. Because
there comes a point where you can't take it anymore.
Well, right? Yeah. Like, I like that she was like genuinely mad and offended by Raffi's just blunt suggestion of Borg up.
Yeah. There's now no longer, she's just a bad person. There's no longer anything driving her behavior.
Right.
I can't get behind that she's acting like an asshole all the time because Elnor died.
Right.
Right? I'm not getting that either. Like, that would be super trite and annoying also, but it's not even that.
Right. No.
So I'm done with it. I don't want to talk about them.
Okay.
What did you want to say?
It is character development. It's just character development in a horrible way for creating a character we don't like.
I mean, I think the best actor award should go to Raffi because clearly the writers want me to hate her. And right. Raffi, I don't know her name. I can't remember the actor's name, but she's doing a great job in making me hate her.
Yeah. Yeah. I suspect that she is going to sacrifice herself. I think that is going to be her redemption. And I kind of feel like that's the only thing that could happen that would make it okay.
Yeah. And we'll just all be happier. Like, I won't feel a sense of loss, right?
Elnor will be back to the original timeline because somehow her sacrifice will bring him back, and that's what they want. Seven will be super upset because Raffi sacrificed herself. Picard will be upset because his person sacrificed herself. Or This is a mirror universe, Raffi.
Maybe. I thought the mirror universe, this was not the mirror universe, that this was an alternate timeline.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's what I'm saying. Like it
could be anything at this point.
Right.
Or nothing.
Yep. And she's just obnoxious.
But anyway, I don't want to talk about them.
Okay, we're done. Yeah.
I want to talk about this whole thing with the FBI agent. That also...
Which I was wrong, by the way. So many people were wrong. Yeah.
It was a waste of our time. Because they start the episode with him as a kid. You're like, oh, I actually thought it was Picard as a kid. That it was like another flashback where they were running from something. And it's like, no. I didn't realize that until they flashed back to him again with more context.
Right.
So this whole thing that the FBI agent not sabotage, but kind of, what is it called? Where they sprung the arrest on them. What's that called? Anyway.
Ambush?
Ambush. Bingo. And then a bunch of different people came in to arrest Picard and Guinan. It wasn't just him.
Yeah.
Right? You got the impression he was like the guy in charge.
Right. The chief, yeah.
He was the chief. And that there wasn't this sense of he's on the fringe, that he's the X-Files guy. He's Scully. Scully?
Mulder.
Okay.
I like him being Scully.
Okay. Scully is the no-nonsense.
Dana. Yeah.
Okay.
She's the actual FBI agent.
Right. But Mulder he's the one who believes in aliens, right?
Right.
Which is this guy. But we don't know that until the end. And this whole back and forth that he's doing, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me because is he being supported by the government? Mm-hmm. I mean, he said he was lying at the end of it. Mm-hmm. But this whole back and forth that they ultimately culminates in him revealing that he saw Vulcans on planet Earth, however many, 50 years ago or 40 years ago. And Picard realizes this and shows him that he wasn't the Vulcans weren't trying to hurt this guy. They were trying to do a mind meld.
This scene was so eye-rollingly irritating. Go.
Yeah, and it didn't make sense from the point of view of Picard. He's going to now reveal he's from the future, which sounded ridiculous. I wouldn't believe it.
Nope.
Even after all that, after they convinced the FBI guy to just let them go, even though it seems like he was under some sort of governmental decree to like keep these people hostage or something like that he just lets them go, and then they're right back where they started at the beginning of the episode. Nothing changed. Nothing was gained. Nothing was lost except for time.
Right. Well, yeah, and even the scene with Guinan and Q, like we didn't really learn anything new about what was happening with Q and what was happening with Guinan and Q. All we got from there was a way for Picard to get out of the situation that he was in, and like you said, just to put them back where they were.
Right. Nothing changed.
No,
and why was Guinan communicating in code when she was telepathically talking to him? She could just say, "Yeah, he's obviously has a history. You should dig into that a little bit." Right.
Right. Especially, since he's the only one hearing it. Right. Like, you don't need to talk in code.
And why was she repeating what Q said? Like, as though there was some connection to Q and the guy.
Right.
Because the way she communicated with Picard, I don't remember exactly what she said. Like, always
humans are stuck in the past.
Stuck in the past, right. It wasn't even clear that, Guinan knew that before Q came. So it's not like Q kind of dislodged an idea for Guinan. She said that before they were separated.
I mean, she did have a change of heart, like in that realization that they get stuck in the past and they focus on that until they can kind of figure out how to improve that situation for next time. So they are always trying to evolve themselves, and that's unique in the galaxy or in the universe.
Yeah, I appreciated that she had that revelation, but it was kind of cheaply done. Why?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Q had this super long monologue, and I felt like I got to the end of it and didn't know anything more. He just said he was dying, that he thought he was going to be transcended into this new state of being where he has meaning and he has a lifespan, and all of a sudden things are going to change. He's like, no, that didn't happen. I'm just slowly dying away, and yet we have no more information as to what's happening or why he's doing what he's doing. Mm-hmm. Like, I hated this episode. This episode did nothing. What do we know now that we didn't know before?
Well, and Corey left. Corey left Sung, and she had a whole bunch of defiant lines. Which one are you worried about losing more, your daughter or your legacy?
Yeah, I mean, it's weird that they kind of pivoted Sung into being this a-hole. He was kind of Okay, I guess maybe at least I might be superimposing like, oh, he's Data. He can't be bad.
No, he was a sympathetic person until we saw those videos. Until Corey saw the videos that she
And he ran over Picard.
Well, but again, that was desperate actions of a desperate father. You know, like
that's true.
It was still he was still sympathetic at that point. But then we saw the videos, and it's like, oh no, you're just a hand wringing, mustache twirling villain. Like there's nothing there. And then he just digs his heels in even more. You know, he finds out about the Borg Queen, and unfortunately, I watched the trailer for the next episode, so I don't remember which lines he says are from the next episode and from this episode. But she basically says, like, there is a future where you are a god, and he's like, yes, I want that. And she's like, okay, well then join me. You know,
it's funny. I did remember when Picard was in that future, sort of the alternate future where Seven was the president. Mm-hmm. I thought I heard Brent Spiner's voice when right before Picard is going to shoot the Borg Queen.
Right.
That sounded like Data.
Yeah.
Or Brent Spiner. And I was like, maybe that's just somebody that maybe I'm just messing that up. I think that makes sense now.
Yeah, well, and there was a statue of him. Yeah, there was a statue of him. Like there was an establishing shot where...
Oh, that was him?
Yeah.
I wasn't paying attention. Okay. Well, I guess that makes sense. So good for them.
If we are setting up that future, I'm very curious to know like why and how the safe universe is a human universe when the Borg are still out there. Like I don't know why the Borg wants to go back to a timeline where she had been kidnapped.
Yeah, why is she? I mean, she had been kidnapped and was about to be executed.
Right.
I don't know. I feel like we're now doing work because part of my mind goes, well, a queen is expendable because let's make a new one. Right. I'm sure the queen does not exist in one place. She's in many places. And so maybe she doesn't care about that particular body. But regardless, I don't think that they're thinking that. I think that this is just the left hand not knowing what the other 10 right hands
the other left hands are doing. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, again, like the story and the plot points, I don't know why I do this to myself. Like I did this with Lost. You know, I was like, no, I want to know the story and it'll be good until the second to last episode of 6 seasons. And then I was like, nope, no, this was a mistake.
Right. We're holding on, waiting for, I mean, this should have happened. Her assimilating the group of mercenaries should have happened in episode 4.
Right.
That's how dilute these plots are. Where it's just, I mean, it really is Picard sitting at a table most of the episodes, right? He walks from one place to another. And I know that he's an older guy. I get that. But there's many other characters who are also sitting at tables talking. You know, the whole Rios and Doctor and son of Doctor, I can never remember her name in the show. That kind of was just treading water for a while. Nothing happened. What were they doing? What was he doing? Was there anything that happened that was forwarding the plot? Other than he gets a girlfriend that we're like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen. Is he going to have to shoot her? Or is he going to bring her back with them? I mean, I will say that since Rios has kind of embodied the reference to Voyage Home, No Voyage Home, Star Trek. I think if that's true, because in Voyage Home, Kirk takes what's-her-name with him. And so I've had the feeling that's going to happen with this one.
Right. I mean, and they've talked about it a couple times. So I actually don't think it's going to happen just because they've already subverted, like the only tropes that they've brought back are ones that were dialogue and not actual scenes. You know, like the Romulan was killed, so he didn't have to have a headband. The guy on the bus, like, turned his music down because he didn't want to have his neck pinched. You know, so all of those things have been showing that like this is not Voyage Home, so I think that she will not be going with them.
I don't know. I'll have to see. I'm sure neither of those will happen. In the highest degree in terms of Picard, that it was just a spinning wheels episode.
Right. What do you mean in the highest degree? Like nothing happened at all for anyone, or
the most
like,
it has happened yet in this series.
Okay.
We are literally back at square one.
Well, I mean, we're not. We're at like, you know, square 8 if each episode is a square. They just didn't move forward at the end of the episode. They know a little bit better about what Aggie is doing, and Guinan now likes the human race, And we know that Q, well, we didn't learn anything new about Q. We know that Q's dying and he's not happy about it.
Well, we know something's wrong with him. That's really all we know. I doubt they'll kill Q at the end of this. Maybe they will. I don't know. Who knows? This is very
Well, they've already shown that Q has different beings as well. You know, like John Delancey's son was a Q. There was a female Q. There's been more than one female Q. There was Richard Branson. Was that what you said his name was?
Corbin Dallas.
But the dad from Psych, like he's been a Q.
Yeah, those were all individual Qs, right? And we don't know. I mean, Q had power at the beginning of this season, so something's going on. We just don't know. We still don't know.
Right.
And you're right. I guess with Aggie, we do know a little bit more information about what she's doing. I feel like it's starting to feel, in terms of how much plot we get, it's starting to feel like that show, what's it called? MathNet?
MathNet. There's a deep cut.
Where we literally get 2.5 minutes of forward progression until the next day, you know?
Right. Yeah. And you have to sit through an entire episode before you get that forward progression.
Yeah. Oh, I remember as a kid just being so like, why can't I watch that? Why can't I just make a whole long episode? Why is it 2.5 minutes? I was so into it.
Well, so we could do MathNet as the intro if we wanted to.
We could.
The story you're about to see is a fib, but it's short. The names are made up, but the problems are real. And that was the whole thing.
Okay, so is that it? Are we done with this one?
Yeah.
There's nothing else to say. Nothing happens.
No. Yeah, it was, yeah.
I don't want to sound like a cynical fanboy here, but they're not giving me much to work with.
Well, right. I mean, regardless of the Star Trek side of it, you know, like regardless of pounding our fists on the table saying this isn't Star Trek, this isn't Picard, this isn't what Picard would do, blah, blah, blah. Like, just story-wise, they're inching along, you know, and you already have 10 episodes out of, like, truncated down from what was originally 24 episodes, you know, like 20 years ago. So why? Like, why can you not find more to fill in the episodes? Why are you thinking of one plot point and then figuring out a way to fill out that hour? Like, it just seems that there should be more happening. They should run into more problems.
This is like 4 episodes worth of plotline.
Right.
I feel like such a fraud because I loved the second episode. I thought, and the first one was like okay, right? Mm-hmm. It wasn't great, but it was okay. It was just here's what everybody's been up to. And the second one was okay, we're in it now. It was a little corny, but it felt like a Star Trek episode. And then everything after that has been the steady decline.
Yeah.
And you know, nothing happening.
So episodes 2 and 3 should have been episode 2. Like, that should have been stretched out. We should have had more world building there, more problem solving of trying to figure out why they're there and how they got there and what Q's plan is. There should have been more explanation to the crew, so Raffi isn't just calling him Mr. Alphabet and being mad about it. And then episode 4 should have been, like, Elnor should have been killed and Picard should have been injured. And that's when we had the flashback episode to learn about his childhood. So that's now been established. And when he wakes up, he's kind of filled in as to where they are. And episode 5 should have been them actually going to San Francisco and finding Guinan and finding the Watcher.
Yeah, could have been compressed. And she just kind of disappeared, the Watcher did.
In this episode, yeah.
I was just waiting for something interesting to happen. Not even like related to the plot, just something. I mean, the whole FBI agent thing, what a lost opportunity to talk about, Vulcans were on Earth before first contact?
Well, it's a reference to Enterprise. Yeah.
Oh, it was? Okay.
Yeah. But that's the thing. It's just an illusion. Like, allusion. There wasn't anything explicitly stated.
But yeah, I mean, Picard seemed unfazed by that. And it's what are we doing? Like, the one opportunity is like, there were Vulcans. Why were they here? Did you follow them? Like, why not give him a little plot line of, as a kid, he followed them but can't remember? Like, the mind meld kind of worked. So he remembers little bits and pieces, little fragments of memories, and Picard tries to work out what they were doing there, as opposed to, they just were here for a second. And Picard kind of makes the guy feel better because, they weren't trying to hurt you. They were just trying to make you forget so this trauma wouldn't happen.
Right. Like, yeah. And again, it's like, why did he suddenly soften up at that? And why did it have such an impact on him? Like, if I had a childhood thing like that and somebody said, like, somebody who I thought was an alien was trying to say, like, they weren't trying to hurt me, there's no way I would believe them.
Also, if somebody who I thought was an alien and had pretty good evidence that supported that picked up his hands like, no, this is what they were doing, and started to touch me, like,
Right.
I would shoot him, right?
Yeah.
If you really thought that they were dangerous.
Right. He did not earn that guy's trust.
No.
At all.
And there's nothing, I mean, they kind of pointed out that there was nothing that Picard nor Guinan could have said or done that would have made him trust them.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, it just was a lost opportunity with that. It was this weird little vignette that did nothing. Picard is not now nowhere, and the guy was fired. Like, they fired him, and his first stop after being fired was to come let the prisoners go.
Right.
I can see why you were fired, bro.
Well, it's one of those things where, you know, like when you're fired, you kind of burn the village behind you. So he released all the prisoners that day.
He had the sitcom box of stuff that you take with you when you're fired. And it's like, yep, they let me go. It's like, it felt like Night Court or something like that. I was like waiting for a laugh track.
So having been fired, that did happen to me.
You had Picard and Guinan in a basement?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's why I was fired.
Yeah. Well, it just felt very wrap up. Let's wrap this guy up. He was fired. He's got his box of stuff. He's going to stop down at the basement one last time to free the prisoners.
Right.
It felt like it was written by a computer program.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay. Well, are we excited for season or episode 209?
I still am.
Yeah.
You know, again, like, it feels like we're culminating to the climax. So, like, we have the Borg Queen now with some Borg drones, and we've got Sung on her side, and the crew is basically still completely lost as to what's happening or what the plan is. All they know is they have to, quote unquote, stop the Borg Queen, but they have no plan on how to do so.
Yeah.
And I hope that they do kind of what we said, like, they do come up with something, and it's not thrust upon them, and it's not just Aggie talking to the Borg Queen being like, oh, I get it. You're lonely, like me.
Yeah. Oh, God, I hope that scene doesn't happen. That's
Spoiler alert.
I'm sure it will. I'm sure it's going to happen.
So, all right. Well,
I guess that we'll see you next time on The Measure of an Episode. I've been Paul.
I've been Jonathan.
And this has been The Measure of an Episode. Episode what? Picard edition, season 2 edition, episode 8 addition.
But your feeble minds couldn't have possibly already known that.
Wait, who's that?
Q.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I like that.
Thanks.